Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. And there we go. We did it right. This
now we're live.
Live time. Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to the Cantina here at lrmonline.com. I am one of your hosts, Kyle Malone, joined as always by my primary co-host, Cam Clark.
Hi.
What's up, buddy?
Nothing much here as always. But I'm doing a good ventriloquist impression tonight. They're going to have me on like Earth's Got Talent. Look, you can't even see my lips move.
There you go.
Good job. And of course, we have Shockey, Mike Connolly over here joining us for today. How's it going, bud?
It's going good. It's Friday. It's afternoon for me. I know, Cam, it's nighttime over there in Scotland and stuff, but
yeah.
It's the weekend finally.
Yeah, I'm just chilling. It's half 9 at night here.
That's not bad.
Nah, that's a good podcast time. Heck, I actually like somewhere around there's when I record most of my podcasts.
That's why it's usually too late for me.
Well, we got the kid, so he's there, and
well, that's the thing for me, and my daughter's in bed now, and my son's not, but it's Friday and he's 13. He won't be going to bed for a while.
Yeah. Well, it is Friday, hence the Cantina is coming out on its regular day, but it's live. So anyone that joins us live, thank you very much. Hit the comments. We'll try to respond. Let's start talking some Star Wars stuff because one of the most controversial things about Star Wars in a long time was The Last Jedi. Anyone that no, not at all. I'm exaggerating. Anyone that thinks it wasn't like a big deal that it wasn't divisive in many ways is fooling themselves on either side. I've seen that. I've seen people claim it's impossible to actually like it. You're a liar, and it's impossible to hate it. You're a liar. Like, what? I can easily hate it or like it or like
I never quite thought that. It's like we have so many varied tastes in movies, and one person's classic, one person's top 5 is different from another, and some people like some movies, some people like different movies. I think the problem, and we've talked about this before with Star Wars, is if you like Star Wars, you probably started off with the original trilogy, so all the Star Wars fans like that, and as you move on from there, that's when the division begins between what the fans actually like and don't like, and that's just normal. They were never going to come up with 12, 13 movies that were just absolutely adored by everyone. So I wish.
So like for our generation, definitely the original trilogy is predominantly the favorite. But it's funny, like being a high school teacher, right? All the high school students I teach, when I ask them, those who are into Star Wars, which one's their favorite trilogy, it's the prequel trilogy, because they were kids they were kids. So that's what they
just
grew up
right off that generation.
But I'm telling you, that's their favorite. Like they love the original trilogy. They don't hate it. But when they ask them what their favorite is because that's what their memories of a kid is watching A Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. So give it 15-ish years from now, and you're going to see these group of kids that are at elementary school,
or they're going to grow up, they're going to mature, and they're going to realize they made a terrible mistake, which I kind of did, with the prequels. In some ways, I was one of those apologists that tried to pretend they were decent, back in the day, because I just couldn't accept that they weren't, and then I had to accept that, they're just crap. you know, my son, I think his favorite film growing up was 100% Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
that was the one he would watch the most. But now, I think he's starting to kind of come to the good side and start to realise that. Although he's still got that, he's still got a place in his heart for them. I think he realises that the original trilogy is a lot better.
But just imagine if you like have a 5-year-old right now, 5 or 6-year-old right now, that like in probably 15 years, they're gonna say how the sequel trilogy was the best out of all the three trilogies.
Surely not, because
it's gonna happen. I'm telling you.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, you know, it's the Last Jedi itself. There's lots of great things we can talk for hours about in that film specifically, but hold on. There's something important in that film. They said, let the past die and that we should look to the future. So let's do that by looking back at the past of The Last Jedi and the stuff that came out right after news-wise, which was, hey, we love it. And Rian Johnson's amazing. And we're doing, giving him his own trilogy, right? And Rian Johnson was going to get his own trilogy. And God, do you guys remember the excitement leading up to Last Jedi, and then the action to his trilogy?
I had it in my head that it was going to be absolutely amazing. I just thought he was going to hit it at the park. I badly got myself hyped up, you know, for that movie. So.
I have like kind of a unique story on it because I was at Star Wars Celebration Orlando when the trailer premiere for The Last Jedi and everything. I slept the night in the Orlando Convention Center, the Orange County Convention Center, for so I could be able to get into the room to see the trailer premiere. And Rian Johnson actually came out the night before. And about midnight to, I want to say about 4 a.m., he stood in this open area where people are just basically laid out their book bags and stuff and use it to sleep out. But he walked amongst the crowd, signing autographs, and then basically we formed a line. And for about 4 maybe 5 hours, he signed autographs the entire night and talked to the fans. It wasn't just like, hey, how's it going? But he sat there and talked and everything. And I mean, the amount of love for him was amazing. There's probably thousands of those Star Wars Celebration tickets that have his autograph on there because he just stood
unless those fans after watching the film burned them.
there might be
God, someone out there, please, I'm begging you, recreate Spaced Simon Pegg's reaction to episode 1. And the burning of all of his stuff. So someone out there, if you really, really hate the Last Jedi, get some Last Jedi toys. They're actually really cheap.
Oh my god! Yeah,
just burn them.
Do the same thing.
When I saw the trailer premiere at Celebration, something that stuck out that he kind of reiterated like multiple times was that, meeting your hero isn't all that's cracked up to be. And I think that I think Disney / Lucasfilm should have marketed it that way. As for The Last Jedi, like, this is not going to be your heroic story of Luke Skywalker. So when I saw The Last Jedi and I was at Celebration, I that kind of stuck in my head. And so I kind of was expecting for Luke to be not, the Luke that we imagined when we were kids.
Yeah.
And so,
right.
But the marketing for The Last Jedi was totally opposite. It was 100% Luke Skywalker's back and he's going to save the day with Rey and everything. And that was not the case. So it's almost like, false advertisement. So I can understand why so many people did not like The Last Jedi.
Well, I think that's sometimes surprising your audience as well. But, I think a lot of the problems that I had, and we've discussed this extensively, with The Last Jedi, don't really revolve around Luke, you know. And I don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that's their issue, that they just don't feel that was where Luke Skywalker was going as a character. And there's a couple of little picky things I have issues with. Some of the philosophy he tried to put across, I didn't agree with whether he was jaded or not. And but the main thing for me about Luke was I was okay. It was always okay with if you're going to break Luke Skywalker, but I need to know what broke him. I need to see more than that. And that one flashback shot of him almost, you know, attacking Ben Solo wasn't enough for me, because it was enough for maybe Luke, but we didn't get to find out what pushed Luke to that step in the first place. What was so bad about Ben Solo that he went completely against the way that he treated his own father, do you know what I mean, who had done all these terrible things. And Ben hadn't done terrible things yet. He just, you know, we don't know. You know, that's the whole point. What was it that was so bad that it made Luke kind of even consider going that way in the first place? I think they gave an excuse for it without explaining it fully, and that's where they fell down on the Luke Skywalker character for me. If you're going to break him, show me him getting broken, because that's drama. I don't want to just see the after effects and find out that off screen at some time some shit happened. We don't know what it is, but some shit happened. You know, it's just bad storytelling for me. If they'd cut out Canto Bight and gave us an extra half an hour of flashbacks to Luke and Ben when they were younger from both's point of view, then maybe you've got a movie. Do you know what I mean? Right. Something to actually write home about. But the movie does just spend too much time on the unimportant stuff, because there's so many good things in it, like the connection between Rey and Ben is really interesting and unique. And that was a great idea. I even liked the way they did the whole kind of Luke Skywalker thing at the end. But the connective material in that movie just doesn't fit together properly for me. And part of that sometimes, as Kyle and I have discussed before, the way the military stuff doesn't make any sense. It's as if Rian Johnson just had an idea, this will be a cool shot, rather than thinking, well, military-wise, how would that actually work? And you could say the bombers at the start don't make sense to the way they've explained Star Wars. The whole running out of fuel thing and slowly going away never made any sense to me, and it just wasn't exciting either. But I suppose, you know, the point is there is some people that absolutely love it. I mean, when we did a review of it in the Cantina, Jama, who obviously that's his favourite Star Wars movie, he absolutely loves it. And despite all the criticisms that Kyle and I were able to throw at him, it was just, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, because those things weren't important to him. What was important to him were the parts that were good in the movie. Whereas, you know, I couldn't maybe see them for all the faults in the movie, but by no way is it some perfect movie. You can't piss off that many fans and say it's the fans' fault. You know, you can't do that.
Right. No, you're right on that. I mean, you have, like, I think everyone has, you know, who's analyzed the movies have realized that this was more a failure at the top, not making sure that there was a connected story for the entire trilogy. Instead of it going and saying, okay, JJ, you do number one. All right, Ryan, you do number two. Because I remember in interviews, covering The Last Jedi, Ryan had no clue, there was no story on why Luke really was on, you know, that island and basically exiled himself.
No, he's just making it up.
He had to make it up. So there was, and what a lot of people get, like they put a lot of blame on Rian Johnson and stuff, and whatever, no problems with it. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but Carrie Fisher had a lot to do with the writing of the script. Before she passed away, it was unfortunate she passed away right before Last Jedi, but Rian Johnson, while filming The Last Jedi, Carrie Fisher would go and stay with him, and they would look at the script rewriting. She would help him kind of formulate it all. But poor guy, man, this is where I feel bad for Rian Johnson, because if you look at any of his other movies where he has total control of everything in the story, it's a great storyline. But I can see, like, issues that you have, Cam, with kind of the military style and stuff. Those are things that Rian Johnson, that's his kind of style to, add into it. But we all know it was a failure from the top down, where there wasn't a clear, concise story. Hey, here's the group, here's the conflict, here's how we're going to introduce everyone in, here's the backstory. Okay, now go with that and do it that way. Instead, we now found, because what was it leaked out that Kathleen Kennedy said, "Oh, we didn't really know," or J.J. Abrams said he didn't really know Emperor Palpatine was the bad guy until the very.
They didn't even contact McDermott until 6 months before the movie came out or something like that to show up for filming. They literally just phoned up and said, basically, we've got this idea. Do you want to come back? And he's like, yep.
Of
and
course.
that was the first he had heard of it. So I don't think Rian Johnson had any hint at all. And that's one of the problems of the trilogy as well, is because of the reaction to The Last Jedi. I think it made Lucasfilm take a whole look at it and go in a completely strange direction to try and fix things in The Rise of Skywalker. And The Rise of Skywalker ends up the worst of the three movies because of that. I mean,
I agree.
There's not many fans now. I mean, I've heard people really passionately for The Last Jedi. I've heard people really passionate against it. When it comes to The Rise of Skywalker, most of the time you just see people either dismiss it, not interested in it, or it was absolute garbage. It just does absolutely nothing. But the worst thing it does is the whole Emperor coming back thing, and but absolutely, to get back to the Rian Johnson thing, and that we'll get to why this is important, but you have to remember that he had to follow on from J.J. Abrams, and J.J. Abrams never gave him much to go with. He starts a new civil war, J.J. Abrams, but doesn't explain why the galaxy's in that position in the first place. And it's a strange position to find where our characters are at that point in the story. And they never still give us any kind of proper background to why that's really happened. Well, maybe until The Mandalorian.
Yeah, here's the biggest issue and how it goes right back to what Mike was saying. Top down problem when they started the aftermath stuff and said that we would get, we would understand the missing parts between 6 and 7. They didn't. And when they said we'd understand the stuff between 7 and 8, they didn't. And when they said we'd understand the stuff between 7 and 9, they did. Disney doesn't put jack crap in print for worth anything anymore until after Rise of Skywalker and all these,
and then they start retconning everything.
Yeah. And then
you can tell they don't want to restrict the filmmakers. You know what I mean? They don't want to restrict them, so they're like, don't touch anything that they could, because they were going to let them go in any direction they wanted.
Then do something with it in the movies, and they didn't do that either.
Listen, they didn't give us either.
Galaxy's Edge at Disney World, Disneyland they're like, oh, it's going to connect to the sequel trilogy. But 2, we didn't see a thing about it in the sequel trilogy. We get one book about it that, to me, it does not connect to Star Wars whatsoever. And there's no synergy. Like it was Disney trying to milk a trilogy out for as much money as they could. Let's put 3 movies out.
Money.
Toys, costumes. Let's put Galaxy's Edge. Give it for the fans to go to Disney World and Disneyland and finally experience a Star Wars land. And there's no
capitalizing the fact that they were bringing the original characters back. It was just all marketing and money making, and the way that you inspire fans to come in is tell them this is the end. But they never looked at the story structure. The story structure of 1 to 6 is a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's Anakin Skywalker's story. And then they made a sequel trilogy that barely mentions Anakin Skywalker at all. So it suddenly shifts the whole kind of frame for where they're going with the story. What they should have done, and you agree with this, Kel, is they should have called it Star Wars The Next Fucking Generation. I don't know, but you know what I mean. And called it Episode 1 and just started again. And then they wouldn't have been restricted. Like, following on from, I mean, they didn't even need to announce it was a trilogy. They could say, let's just see where this goes. Rian Johnson could have did his movie, and then whoever comes in next wouldn't have had to end it. They could have said, where's the next step in the story? You could have had 3, 4, 5 all in a row, do you know what I mean? That they could have really built that up and took their time, but they wanted, and they kind of pigeonholed themselves into saying it would be another trilogy, and it would be 7, 8, 9 to wrap it up.
Yeah, and you know, there's obvious signs that someone, excuse me, someone at Disney saw chaos, turmoil, whatever, and decided to compartmentalize some projects, you know, and give what appears to be more freedom for storytelling in and background exploration in the Mandalorian.
But I think that comes from money as well, because that's Mandalorian's whole thing was designed to promote Disney Plus, you know, and it's super expensive, and you could have never did that without a streaming service to generate subscribers on. So this was just like a movie to them, I think, in case of, right, well, it's a movie, it's big, so you get that freedom then, which the book writers just as we've already said, just don't get. So Favreau got that bit more, and he didn't push too far into it, him and Dave Filoni to begin with. I mean, season 1 of The Mandalorian doesn't kind of push too far into any of the mythology, but the confidence they got from that allowed them in season 2 to go, okay, where do we go with this now? And it's blown up into something that we're all excited about again, because we don't know. But the problem we're always going to have is the further that this story goes on is we know where it goes, and it's that sequel trilogy. And that's never going to make, I mean, they might be able to explain some of this stuff better before they get to that. Like if they ever did a Luke Skywalker show, which we've heard is in the works, you know, a looking kind of Grogu thing. If they were ever to take that far enough to get Ben Solo involved, we could start to find out what it was about Ben Solo that frightened Luke so much, and maybe it makes that side of things a little bit better, but it's still not going to suddenly make it a great trilogy with a great ending to the saga. It's a shame, and I bet if Disney could go back now, much as they love the money, they probably wouldn't do what they did. You know, they would have took a bit more time, plan it out a bit more, and they just rushed it. They rushed it.
What I don't get is just how do you purchase in 2012? You or finalize your purchase in 2012. You've been planning on this. You're telling me that nobody nowhere. There was no like cross pollination with George's scripts prior to like. I remember
at that point they were supposed to be filming his outline. It wasn't till J.J. Abrams came in, which remember was quite late in the day in terms of when he came in. It was him that threw out George's ideas and said we're going to start again. And they gave him that's a fact. No, but even Bob Iger said that himself in an interview. So.
I can't remember timelines and
they made the decision to go with JJ. Do you know what I mean? And Bob Iger had to break the news to George Lucas, and he wasn't happy.
Well,
about it at the time.
Be honest. I don't care if we were going to spend 5 minutes throughout all 3 films or 50 minutes throughout all 3 films. The idea of visiting the micro world of the M word had me not giving two.
It's already been in anything about Rebels already covers the Whills. That's where they were going with it. It fits with the way they were going in Rebels. But I don't watch it. It's quite cool. It's just another avenue of the Force. It's not really biological. It's mystical. Yoda has to go and learn for these creatures that aren't,
Yeah, I did in Clone Wars season 6.
Yeah. And it's part of how he learns to, the whole manifesting himself after the Force. That's part of his training. So it would have made sense for a sequel trilogy for Luke's training to have gone in that direction and learn more about the nature of the Force. And of course, there'd be a potentially a new threat and stuff like that. But, they didn't need to go back to Palpatine or anything like that. At the end of the day, any Jedi can go bad.
Dark Empire and elements of Fate of the Jedi and Legacy of the Force, all three things, and very, very drastically different EU sources that they drew from for stuff for Ben and Rey as Jason and Jaina, and stuff that they drew for Palpatine, Kylo, or not Kylo, Snoke and whatnot from
and Kyle, it's as you and I
Empire.
have said before, if they had made Ben and Rey brother and sister from the start and had them that with that connection, one light side, one dark side, and it be about these siblings as they go their different ways, and they kind of almost feels like they didn't do that because it was too like the EU, because the EU goes in that direction, and it might have felt as if they were just copying it, but they copied so many other aspects of it.
Right.
Anyway, I suppose why I'm talking about this, the reason we're talking about this week is because after a while, as you alluded to, Kyle, you know, the Rian Johnson trilogy just disappeared. It just disappeared. No one was talking about it. And occasionally Johnson would get asked, it's still on. But then we get a Taika Waititi movie announced. Well, we kind of found out about it before it was announced, and then they just had to admit it.
Yeah, May 4th.
They announced that Kevin Feige would be producing a Star Wars movie, but we still don't know much more about that. It's still in there somewhere. And then on the Disney Investor Day, we found out there is another movie coming, but it's Rogue Squadrons with Patty Jenkins. There was no mention at all of Rian Johnson's trilogy.
None.
So then this week, Johnson's asked again about it, and he says, no, he's still working on that Star Wars trilogy. At the moment, he's got too much stuff on. He's got his own projects, but that's something that they're still working on. I guess the question I've got for you guys, because I know what my answer is, and I already said it when I covered this piece. Do you think you will ever sit in the theatre to watch episode 1 is Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy?
Absolutely.
I think it will happen. Do you think it will happen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see it. I don't think it will happen.
So I have a little insight to it because we did cover, what was it, back in June or July, after Taika Waititi's announcement. And I think, what was it? Is it Leslie Headland who's doing the other project, The Acolyte?
The Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when they announced those,
quite early.
May 4th. It was
project,
So it was May 4th of 2020. They announced Taika Waititi's and Leslie Headland's projects, and everybody was like, "Okay, they're the new ones. Rian Johnson's out." So I checked in with our source and everything, and everything's still good.
Yeah,
they're letting Rian Johnson do his, was it Knives Out 2, and then there's one other passion project. It's like a passion project that's not going to take too long, but they're letting him write the entire thing. What they understand is that doing this, like, hey, you do some, that's not going to work. So, and Kathleen Kennedy loves Rian Johnson. That's a given. So
we know that. Yeah. He got more freedom than any of the other directors. He just basically got let to go with it.
And the cast, supposedly loves him, really well, a whole lot better than.
But as you said, Mike, he's a really nice guy.
He is. Oh yeah, really nice.
And nobody's trying to say, I hate all this when people. You know what it's like. People do extreme shit on social media. Like, I hope Rian Johnson dies. It's like,
of course,
I mean, he did what he wanted to do. I don't, it's not what I would have done. But at the end of the day, he did what he was paid to do, and the Lucasfilm were happy with what he did. You've just got to judge each movie as it comes out. You don't say that. Every director's made shit movies. Every single director out there's made movies that I think, oh, that's a stinker, and it doesn't mean that they can't come back and do something else.
Even Kathleen Kennedy, as much hate that she gets, if you look at her record, man, she is involved with a lot of all-time classic movies, going all the way back into the 80s and or early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and all the way to today. And
but there's a difference between being a producer and a president, though. There's a difference between, you can be a good producer and not necessarily a good president, and the president role is a little bit different because you're almost the final say for everything, and that's where Kevin Feige excels, and there's somewhere you've got to keep the fans on side, right? And Kevin Feige, all the Marvel fans love Kevin Feige, and that's part of what gives them that success, because he knows, hey, the fans want to see this sometimes, I'm going to give them it, but not necessarily in the way that they want it. And yet, when we saw that latest, the first time Kathleen Kennedy had appeared online, and how long when she was doing that speech recently, and they basically
had to turn off,
they had to turn off the comments,
the ability
the
to thumb up, thumb down.
Well, the timing wasn't great either, of being 4 or 5 days after Gina Carano.
There is that as well, but well,
that just kind of shows that that rift in the fandom that I talked about does exist.
She's not loved.
Right.
She never will be, I don't think, anymore.
Lucas wasn't loved in the 2000s, in the early 2000s.
And quite rightly, by the way, because he did something completely self-indulgent. And he needed,
it's his damn story. He's allowed to be self-indulgent, man. He's the one who came up with
it is absolutely, but he's not a good director and he's not a good writer by his own admission. I don't think he'd admit he's a bad director, but he admits he's a bad writer. And yet he never get really any help writing The Phantom Menace. And the people he brought in to write Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith weren't exactly brilliant writers. The people that he wanted turned them down. You know what I mean? Like he tried to get Larry Kasdan back and he turned him down,
He needed a Jon Favreau with him. Like Dave Filoni has Favreau with The Mandalorian. That's what Lucas needed, someone like that. You know, Filoni has all the Star Wars knowledge and hey, this needs to be like this. This is Favreau's like, okay, I'm going to take all that and then I'm going to, change it and just, all right, here we go. Boom. There. That's our story. That's what Lucas needed for the prequel trilogies.
Absolutely.
Lucas just needed to say, hey, look, this is what it needs to happen. But okay, I got you, bud. All right, let me write this down. All right, here's your script. Yep. So, here's your story.
I'll write the script. I'll write the story.
And that's what Feige does.
You just tell me where we need to be at the end. And Feige is good at that. And if
Feige goes like, hey, listen, here's the story.
So, let's ask this then. Mike thinks 100% for certain Johnson trilogy happens. 100. I'm iffy. Cam, are you
even if he dies 100?
What I always said was I'll believe it when I'm sitting in the theater and it comes up, Star Wars whatever, directed by Rian Johnson. That's when I'll believe it's actually happening. Or when it won't be that long, but
Cam,
when
you're going to be
basically cameras start rolling
and you're going to love it. This is how crazy it's going to be.
I might well do, because I think again, getting back to I've liked his other films. I like Knives Out. I think here's my conditions. Yes, he needs to be given the entire trilogy to write. It needs to be not connected very much to the other stuff, so he's got that freedom where it doesn't piss on what other people's ideas are. But he must get somebody to help him with the action stuff this time. Somebody like what's his name? Stackpole. Do you know what I mean? Who understands the kind of military and how, write all that and how to do battles and things like that, because that's the place where Rian Johnson fell down for me. And I know it's not something he was very experienced in doing. Up to that point, that was 100% the biggest film he's ever done to that point. And that's where I think he needed help. He needed somebody like almost a Dave Filoni there for Star Wars, force-wise to go, that's not I wouldn't do that. And someone military-wise to say, well, you just tell me you want a battle and let me kind of construct how that battle is going to work for you. You tell me what you want to do, and let's work it out together. Because, if we look at all the action scenes in The Last Jedi, they're just not exciting in any way to me. I didn't enjoy at all the opening battle. It's great drama in it, but as an action set piece, it didn't work for me. The Canto Bight action didn't work for me, jumping my boot on CGI cats. And then the worst thing is the whole Hoth again that he does on Crate with the salt. Let's make it white but have salt on, and then we'll have a character just so that the audience knows
we can make it clear
this time. And then use the AT-ATs again, and if them all standing there in a line and basically just do nothing at all, while these stupid ships that no one in their right mind would ever design, where who designs a ship where it drags off the ground?
Who served?
I mean, that's literally
that's
literally the impossible. You know what I mean? It just, you wouldn't do that. You know, the idea is to get it off the ground, or if it can't get off the ground, to give it wheels. You know what I mean? It's the age-old, you know, engineering thing. You just wouldn't do something like that. Maybe in a water where you know, you were skiffing across the water or something like that, but not on fucking sand or whatever it is, the salt skimmers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seems completely designed so that they could have those little trails where they move it and it goes red, because that's a cool visual. Yeah, it looks pretty, but it doesn't work as an action set piece. And then you have the whole, you know, Finn and Rose moment, which was one of the worst moments ever in Star Wars. It's as bad as any line in the prequels. You know, we have to fight for what we love and not kill what we hate. You know,
and then you had that pretty down. Like you watched it a couple times to get that.
I've only watched The Last Jedi 3 times. That's the truth. But you know,
my biggest problem with that scene isn't even that line, which is cheesy as all.
No, that's what I was getting at. Probably the fact that they just walk away.
Yeah, like nobody shoots them. They have time to like lay there,
walk away.
Lay there, talk, make out some, get up, leisurely walk, because the wounded to the base
with no cover at all.
And nobody's like,
there's no cover, and none of the First Order bothers shooting them. You know,
because there's Luke Skywalker. Everyone's focused on Luke Skywalker.
No, Luke hasn't come back at this point. They're back in the hangar before Luke even turns up. So
exactly,
you know, that's what we're talking about, Mike. That doesn't make any sense. You know,
there you go. Let me.
Planned.
So even take all of that. Like, I think Johnson can make a good looking film, and I know with Knives Out that I really enjoyed that, and Looper's decent. I'm not as, you know, head over heels as some are with it.
I just thought it was all right. Yeah.
It was a unique story. It was,
but
let's go with Mike first on this one. Mike, do you think he can tell given it all a good, coherent Star Wars story that doesn't necessarily mention Skywalkers or Palpatines?
He won't. He's already said that. Like, this is going to be a trilogy outside of the Skywalker era.
Right.
And you know, the question is it going to take place in the future?
Star Wars.
That. Yeah, I mean, I 100% think he can make it feel Star Wars, because at the end of the day, guys, I mean, Star Wars is the most diverse universe that we can imagine, right? Look at the fans. There's so many different fans from all different backgrounds, you know, political beliefs. That's why there's so much controversy among Star Wars fans, is because it is really like the only thing, because it's the only type of film / medium that you can, no matter where you're from, what type of background, who you are, you can relate to someone, and you can say, you know, this is my favorite character: Luke Skywalker, Leia, Rey, Captain Rex, Cody, you know, Darth
Captain
Vader,
Phasma.
Right? There's
no one says anything when you say that, because that's
not her fault
in the world.
No, but listen, but even so, like at San Diego Comic-Con and stuff, you know, there were people, and there's still people that are going to cosplay like as Cara Dune. And no matter, and that's the thing, is that there's always, it's going to happen. There's still going to be people that cosplay as Cara Dune. You can't just erase Cara Dune from The Mandalorian, and there's still going to be people that do that. And so
they won't be buying many toys, though.
No, that's true. But
maybe they will, because they'll all be priceless. They'll be selling them for like $300.
God, I wish I had bought some.
I wish I had bought some as well.
But what's unique about Star Wars is that no matter who makes it, all the fans go and see it. It doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, it's that character, so I'm not going to watch it or that. Now, the cartoon shows like Rebels, I understand not everybody watched Rebels.
Yeah,
I understand not
I don't
everybody
know.
watched
I don't Ron Howard.
And not everyone went and saw Rise either, because Rise is the first third film to lose money,
to make less money than the second film
to the second,
right?
And Solo was an absolute flop, you know. So I don't know. Tell Ron Howard that. Here's my issue.
But that one was that had its own controversy because you had Phil Lord and stuff.
Even if you cut the budget to like a reasonable amount, it still doesn't do good.
Yeah, no, I mean Solo. I like Solo. I didn't go see it in theaters. I waited for it to come out.
I'm cutting you out. You're fine. No,
it's not a bad, like, not horrible.
Oh, Kyle hates it. Kyle hates
Solo.
I know Kyle hates it. And I understand, without a doubt, I understand why people hate it and stuff. But to me, like, I find the good in it. I think Donald Glover's Lando is amazing. L337 was great, you know, and that Emilia Clarke it gave a new kind of angle for Crimson Dawn. That, you know,
I just don't know why they couldn't fucking say Black God freaking Sun.
Oh, Black Sun.
Yeah. I mean, Kel and I both said before that we thought a sequel might have worked better with Solo, but the problem with Solo was they tried to cram in everything we knew about Han Solo into one movie. And it was just it was a group of, it's this part what we know about Han. Oh, now we're on to this part, you know, and it just...
But you live and learn, because you saw Rogue One was a success. So they're like, okay, let's do this. And so they were going to have Solo, then a Boba Fett, you know, movie and stuff. And then when Solo crashed, they're like, ooh, let's not do that. And so what do? They say, all right, let's go and create TV shows with the Mandalorian and then make spinoffs. And look at Boba Fett now. Now we're going to get the Book of Boba Fett, which is going to be, you know, pretty amazing. And I think it's going to be 10 times better than having an hour and a half star movie.
For the first time ever, like, I've got a Boba Fett
there you go.
On my desk, because it's not something Cam and I talked about on our review series, which you guys can find on SoundCloud in its entirety, and on YouTube. We're posting them in video format every week, but the
everything live action that's ever been filmed for Star Wars, we 11 so films,
and
just not all the cartoons.
We always hit on Boba Fett so hard because it's like in the OT you get these fans based off of the cartoon short and the toy, and then what little they got in Empire, and everyone's expecting big stuff in Jedi, and he gets a comedic relief death, you know, after two films uttering, you know, 20 words maybe and I just never got why people loved him so. Even the EU
and then he
took a long time to make him cool. And then all of a sudden, bam!
But
wow,
they did it.
It's just
Johnson,
because they gave him some character. They got his character right. They made him super neutral. But you know, here's the thing, right? So if I had to say to you, if you're in charge, you two are running Lucasfilm right now. Would you greenlight a Rian Johnson trilogy right now? Because I wouldn't, and this is why. Because it's too much of a risk. Because there'll be a fan base that won't go and see it just because his name's on it. Why take that risk? I don't understand. It's a needless risk to me. Yes, I hope that if he gets a trilogy, he redeems it and we'll go, oh, all's forgiven, Ryan, because this was a fantastic trilogy. You know, we love you again. But that's a risk. And it will hit the box office takings of the first movie he puts out, I think.
Yeah, but you got to think about it this way, okay? You're right. If it was like right after Rise of Skywalker and we're like, okay, Rian Johnson trilogy, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't even put any type of trilogy. I think what they did was smart. Kind of give a break from the movie format. Go with, you know, the shows. Be heavy on the shows, and that's what we're going to get basically in 2022. It's a lot of, you know, the Disney Plus shows, which is good. But think about it. We'll have the entire, probably by the time Rian Johnson gets to writing his story and we start filming, by the time we actually see it, it's going to be 2023, 2024. Okay. That's my conservative
I would
guess.
say I don't think it would even be as to the times we see a Rian Johnson film 23, 24. I think it'll be that long before we see Taika Waititi's.
Well,
to be honest.
So even that, yeah. So let's think about that.
So I think it'll be like 26, 27 before you
even so, right? And that,
okay.
And so even so, like 26, 27. Okay. So you'll have the entire Mandalorian story done by then. Okay. Yeah. You'll have Taika Waititi's movie. You'll have Leslie Headland's Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We'll have maybe the Kevin Feige movie before.
Maybe.
Yeah. So you're talking about a good healthy amount of. We'll have Bad Batch, probably 2 to 3 seasons of that. You're getting into a lot of Star Wars stuff before we even get back to Rian Johnson. So to me, it's not that big of a risk. It's like, okay, we're doing all these other things. Let's give this guy some time. We know he's got talent. Let's give him as much time as he wants, and we're going to focus on this. Now, if you're trying to rush
lessons of this because you're giving it so long, you're giving it to the
and you
fans
have all this other stuff.
You'd fall in love with Star Wars again.
Exactly. You know? And to be honest, it might not be it's not. Do I think it's going to be greater than the original trilogy or the prequel trilogies? Probably not. Would it be on par with maybe the sequel trilogies? Bank wise, yeah, maybe. I give it around there, and who knows? Like with Rian Johnson, you might not even see a Jedi or Sith. It might be something. It might be just a whole bounty hunter type of, or some sort of love story trilogy, and 2 peasant farmers falling in love and on a moisture farm, for 3 movies. It's. We don't know what we're gonna get with Rian Johnson. That's the crazy thing about it.
If we get that, then all is fucking lost. But
the greatest love story of all time.
I hope
Uncle Ben
whenever somebody,
Peru.
I have no control over who gets to make Star Wars movies. So whenever someone does, I don't. Because if I did, then we wouldn't be sitting here right now, because J.J. Abrams I was dead against him right from the start. I cannot stand J.J. Abrams. I've never liked a single movie he's made. Didn't even like a lot of his the only TV series he was ever involved in that I liked was Fringe, and I'm not sure how heavily he was really involved in that. He just kind of, like Spielberg used to do, puts his name and stuff so that they can sell it. I just don't understand what everybody loves about him. And he just copies what other people have done and repackages it in a different way. And that's all The Force Awakens is. So, Disney, it's their fault they hired J.J. Abrams in the first place. But anyway, all I do hope that even in his situation, I just hope this be the one where you get it right, So every time there's a movie, I just hope it's brilliant. Whether I think it will actually be or not, I don't know. But I just hope it's good.
I think Disney learned its lesson. Lucasfilm learned its lesson that not everything Star Wars has to be in the theaters. That's why we're getting a Lando show. That's why, Mandalorian is a show and not a movie. And Boba Fett, same thing. They learned that from the mistakes of Han Solo, from the mistakes of the sequel trilogy. Okay, there. I bet you, because I know this is getting circulated around in Lucasfilm, but it's not 100%. Like, this is a big grain of salt, but there is talks of doing an animated Ben Solo movie. But it won't be for some time, because here's the thing. The Mandalorian is leading up to the beginning of the First Order. Like, this is the whole story of the Mandalorian is giving us how the First Order began. So now it's going to be, how are you going to incorporate Ben Solo with the Mandalorians, or be animated and stuff?
Animated is the way to do that, because then you can use Driver for the voice and Hamill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't even. I don't even think you have to use Driver for the voice. Like, you could get somebody close, just like what they did with the Clone Wars, and and
it depends on the age of the character. If the age of the character is that he's not matured into a man yet, but once they get to the point where he would have Adam Driver's voice, I would prefer
without a doubt.
You don't want to see 17 seasons of Ben Solo at the end of the day.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So if it's going to be big, and we're talking Disney Plus, not network. So when they made the Clone Wars, remember, it was about cutting costs. They couldn't afford McGregor and Christensen, or anything like that. So we have to accept that. but they're not as good, you know, as much as it doesn't matter if you think they're great, the actors that do the voices in Clone Wars, etc. Yeah, they're pretty good, but it's not the real thing, you know. And it would sound better if we had the actual, you know, if Frank Oz was doing Yoda, for example.
I give you that. But Sam Witwer is Darth Maul.
Well, yes, sometimes it changes, doesn't it? Because Sam Witwer actually, I think, has surpassed what I can't remember his name now. It's a funny name, the guy. It's years ago now. Sorry, it's escaped my brain. I would see it. I would know. I'd be able to pick his name out of lineup. Do you know what I mean? One of those things. But who did the original voice? British actor. You know, he is actually far better than him. So sometimes that happens, but let's be honest, these guys are big paid Hollywood actors for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Usually because they're pretty good. So all I'm saying is, especially when it comes to Adam Driver, you know, he's an absolutely fantastic actor. I think he'd be absolutely up for like just doing a bit of voice work. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's kind of like Samuel L. Jackson comes in. You know, Samuel L. Jackson came in and did some of Mace Windu's, you know, voiceover. Liam Neeson did Qui-Gon's, you know, for the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You can do that without a doubt. I think with Disney Plus,
but especially on Disney Plus, because the budget's there. Do you know what I mean? Because if you say you're going to do a Luke Skywalker series on Disney Plus, you expect more than what you got on the Clone Wars. It was network. You know, you're expecting a higher level of quality because that's why you pay your subscriptions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something. Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
No, go.
Well, like it's just funny you mentioned it because something about it was like it wouldn't. Let's say 2026. Imagine how big Disney Plus will be by then. Mm-hmm. Would it be feasible?
Actually, estimates say that within the next 3 years it could move ahead. They did we never covered it at the time, but I almost covered it. Yeah, it's going to be bigger than Netflix, basically.
Yeah, so imagine if the Rian Johnson trilogy doesn't come out in theaters, but comes out on Disney Plus. What if that's the big Star Wars? Like, hey, we're transitioning to 100% Disney Plus, and boom, you know, just like Netflix does. Netflix has these big budget movies, and here you go. Here's your.
But they just can't be quite as big budget as they can in theaters, though. You can't do an Endgame. You can't do an Endgame on Disney Plus.
Oh, I don't think you need one for a Rian Johnson film. Like I get it.
All I'm saying is, eventually, I want to see a Star Wars that could build to that level. Do you know what I mean? I want them to go down. You know, give me a spectacle. Give me, you know, spend the cash. Get it right.
I think that's what Acolyte's going to be. In all honesty, I think Acolyte's going to be that crazy. Everyone's going to go rush to see it because from all the rumors I hear and, you know, talking to people and stuff, it's that this is going to focus on the beginnings of the Sith. And like, you know, that to me, I think is going to get people. Well, everybody loves a good bad guy.
Yeah, I've always said for years that I would like to see
more. The High Republic.
Yeah, but they can still explain the history of the Sith.
Well, yeah, they can.
You've got backstory. How did they get there?
You know,
it's going to be one of those like, hey, you really want to know
what Sith is about? This is it right here. I want to. That's one of the ones I'm most looking forward to because I think we've not talked about the dark side enough, and in fact, that's where I said to you before, Kel. That's what I'd have done with the sequel trilogy. You know, from Ben Solo's point of view, I would have focused on the whole, almost like the reverse of Luke's journey and his training in the dark side, you know.
I think that's what Rian Johnson was setting up for in Last Jedi, was that kill Snoke and let Ben Solo be the ultimate bad guy in Rise of Skywalker. And people just got, you know, whoever it was, J.J. Abrams or whoever, Lucasfilm, got scared that wasn't going to work.
Because he was too popular a character, and you know they thought the fans wanted him redeemed because of the whole Reylo thing and all that.
Right, exactly.
But you know, Johnson gave them that choice at the end, and he made that choice, and then it's like Rise of Skywalker, J.J. Abrams, which just gives them the same choice again. Mm-hmm. You know.
Anyways, let me ask. We'll go around real quick and kind of give what we would like to see from Johnson. I know they're doing the High Republic thing, and I know a lot of people have their hopes up for Knights of the Old Republic game revamp, whether it makes it canon or it's just a remake of old game, whatever.
Right.
You know, we'll see what happens if it happens. But I like to take this story from ancient EU times, the high like discovery of hyperspace lanes,
Right.
and the force sensitive duo that kind of didn't even know they were, or one of them was force sensitive, I think, but didn't even know they were just kind of hoping for the best, and they're the ones that stumbled across the lost Sith eventually. And I think something set 5,000 years in the past, so that way you could do something like a real swashbuckling classic Star Wars adventure setup of you're out in space, you're mapping these lanes, trying to get from planet to planet, so you'll get to see a lot of the galaxy, and
the galaxy wouldn't be as together as
exactly
what's the word I'm looking for, like cross racial and stuff like that, like it is multiracial.
Right, you have sectors and
so there could
stuff
be
that have like
it could be more animosity
regional
in there.
Exactly. I want that. That's what I want, with eventual showdowns between Jedi or light side users and dark side force users set, like I said,
it can be before they even called themselves Jedi and stuff.
Sure.
Almost, yeah.
I think he could make some really beautiful stuff with that and keep us that setting of adventure, especially it would.
Plus, his bombers that he created for The Last Jedi might be relevant in that time period.
Yeah, possibly. But the arc of like mapping would probably be finished halfway through the second movie, and you get into the heroic part of whatever dark forces they're facing down. But that's what I'd kind of like to see. What about you, Mike?
Honestly, anything, as long as he has like full creative control, like, and it's not something that like he has to like, we got to make sure you're within these lanes. I think he's a great writer and a great storyteller. I'm always a big fan of like the fall of the hero, kind of like Anakin Skywalker, the original trilogy, type deal, or not original, but like prequel trilogy. It's seeing something like that. But I mean, to me, it doesn't even have to involve like lightsabers or anything. Just give me something different. That's all. I enjoy. I really liked Rogue One and how different it was. No lightsabers, no force sensitive people. I just think that there's so much more to explore in Star Wars outside of the Star Wars movie. Yeah. I think would it be great to get like Knights of the Old Republic? Yeah, but at the same time, there's so much else out there that look at Mandalorian. We didn't get a single lightsaber there for a while in the first first season or so. I mean,
but eventually, it is good to go away from it. But it's still, there's a million movies out there would love to be able to use lightsabers, but they can't because it's copyrighted. Yeah. So, there's still that hook of the whole force. It's the fantasy aspect of it, I mean, Star Wars is sci-fi fantasy, and fantasies always get magic, and in Star Wars the magic is the force,
Yeah, I mean, you could be a trilogy about the Mandalorian, like the origins of them. Tar Vizsla,
or the war between the Mandalorians and the Jedi.
I think that would be awesome. Oh my gosh!
Okay, Cam, what about you? What would you?
All I could say is what Johnson? I would do, what I would like to do, and I would go a little bit further into the future rather than kind of going back to the past and set my own path for where things are going. I would have, you would imagine that Rey goes on to kind of, rebuild the Jedi Order, but maybe in a different way than it was before. So what I'd want to explore is how the Jedi are different now, and how they embrace different, aspects of things. They don't live under the same kind of dogma, and create a new
Jedi Order
drama. Basically, it's already there. But
I was
actually
making a new Jedi Order joke.
Basically, create a new bad guy. Have a bad guy, start from the start and become a bad guy and learn about the dark side, you know what I mean? And really not have any big grand master there that's there to teach them and really pull in the shadows, but actually watch the fall of somebody, almost like do the prequel trilogy the way it should have been done, a really dark movie that actually doesn't necessarily finish in a happy ending, because it finishes with this new dark force in the universe, and almost like, so look, there's a playground. I've set you up with a new playground. You can now go and do whatever you want, at the end of that. I would basically create a new story, use a trilogy or whatever to create a new story. And ultimately that would be bringing a dark side user back, somebody, there has to be, I suppose it's the same as going back to the past. It's like, someone at some point, nobody's born evil. Somebody was the first Sith. Somebody, discovered all the secrets of the dark side. They never learned it. They sat there and they discovered them all for themselves, And I'd like to see something like that begin again, because these things move in cycles, Rey Skywalker's name could be like mentioned as the person who started it, but long after she's died and stuff like that. Although you could have her come maybe back as a Force ghost, I suppose, at some point. But
no more Force ghosts. No more. Done with those.
No more Force ghosts.
Yeah,
I don't know, but because Rey is she's been taught by Luke, who's been taught by Yoda, so they're going to teach her that shit as well. So canonically, it wouldn't make sense for there to be no Force ghosts. You would imagine there would be more in the future than there was in the past.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't foresee any of the sequel trilogy main heroes showing back up.
But I'm talking about something far enough ahead that they'd all be long dead. None of them would be alive.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think the actors want to come back to reprise the role, is what I'm saying.
Neither did Harrison Ford. Give them 10 years and a truckload of money, especially, depending on how good their careers are. If their careers aren't doing that well, watch them run back.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it's been awesome conversation. Whether or not it's going to happen, we'll see. Because like Cam said, nothing happens until it happens. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, our podcast network, wherever you get podcasts from, SoundCloud, Spotify. Awesome podcast going up. LR mornings, 5 days a week. Anime Versal reviews on Saturdays. Doing Dr. Stone right now. Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. The Cantina reviews. A lot of really great content out there, guys. You can see all of our Twitter handles on there, but just for the podcast audio, you can find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. Mike, where can people find you at?
At LRM_exclusive.
There you go. And Cam, how can people track you down on the interwebs?
Well, I suppose the same way as Mike as well, but also at LRM_Cam as well. So
there you guys go. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will talk to you next week.
Bye.
See you.